Of the Gallo Show. It is in the house. Steve Davenport, founder, chairman of SuperTalk, and Kim Dillon, president of SuperTalk. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Didn't see you till late. I thought, you guys are not going to stand me up, are you? So
Thought about it.
We didn't want you talking about us.
Well, you don't let anybody talk anyway, so does he press?
Oh,
That's what I heard that last segment. Everybody talks. I mean, I don't know why I'm here.
Here's the deal. First of all, your thoughts, Steve, on what we are about to do in the state.
Well, I think that on the so-called medical marijuana bill, first of all, Paul, if you read the 50, 60 pages, this is not medical marijuana. This is basically the legalization of marijuana in the state of Mississippi. And the second thing that's really bad is this is changing the Constitution, which means once this passes, whatever's in there is law, and you can't change it. Now, I suppose you could change it 4 years from now if you get another referendum to do away with it, another initiative to do away with it. So basically, what's in there is what's going to happen, and what's in there is basically horrible. I mean, everybody I talk to basically believes that medical marijuana is a good thing. Now, basically, the legislature did not do their job. They should have passed a bill, and they did not. So if you've got a complaint, you need to, talk to your legislator and do something about it. But what you might as well do, if this bill passes, you need to change the signs coming into Mississippi from welcome to Mississippi to welcome to California East, because that's what you're at. And you're going to have these stores, whatever you want to call them, open up all over the state. Your municipality, your city, your mayor has no vote. You as a citizen has no vote. Mm-hmm. It's 400 or 500 feet from a church, I think, or a school.
500 feet, yeah.
And you're going to be able to get marijuana. Like, I have arthritis, Everybody has arthritis.
Age appropriate.
Well, you can have it. You can have arthritis when you're 15, 20 years old. So what you're now going to be able to do is buy enough marijuana to pay, $400 or $500, walk out, and probably make, I would ask Perez, but I don't want to embarrass him, how much you could make. But you could probably make.
Why you got to drag me in your stuff?
You could probably make, Perez, $3,000 to $5,000.
Yeah. No.
I mean, we had a sheriff in here from a county, from I guess it was Madison County, who showed all the marijuana you can get a month.
Well, this guy Chicken Hawk is
crazy.
just amazed.
This is crazy. Yes, we need a medical marijuana bill, but this is not a medical marijuana thing. This is the legalization of marijuana in Mississippi. And the other thing you have to do, as the saying goes, follow the money. Why would people spend between $5 and $6 million to get this done? You think because they want their grandmother or their mother or them to get medical marijuana? Are you kidding me? You're going to spend that kind of money? Mm-hmm. This is about them owning a company and controlling a company tax-free. They're going to be able – I saw a report that they put out that in year, 2, or I guess they'll have 6 months. So after 6 months, once they get up and going, they're going to make $800 million. $800 million.
At the end of 5 years, the gross income could be about $800 million, close to $1 billion in the state of Mississippi within 5 or 6 years,
now,
which means you're putting $1 billion.
Who's going to get that money? I can tell you. Go down the list in the Secretary of State's office and read who paid $1 million.
Joel Baumgar paid $400,000 in the first check. And let me give you several of the other ones. $100,000, $100,000, $100,000, $100,000, $55,000, $55,000. It goes on and on. Over $1 million. And one more thing. This guy from, and he's just representative of one or two of these people, or more of these people, but a guy named Rob Campius, Kampia, the Campia Group.
Yeah, he tried to get legalized prostitution.
He wanted legalized. He had an initiative for legalized prostitution.
So I guess next they're going to do legalized prostitution.
Well, this was in D.C., and they had to throw him out of his own group to push this because of charges of sexual harassment. But this guy's put in literally millions and millions of dollars. So, Kim, we talk about this, and I worry a little bit because I think people don't understand 65A is also an initiative, which means if 65A passes under the directives of the legislature putting this together, to solve the problems that, like Jennifer called a few moments ago. It is also a constitutional amendment. It goes into the Constitution. It has to be there. We have to sell medical marijuana, but it has to be done with oversight and input from physicians, pharmacists, etc.
That's correct. And if you're for medical marijuana, 65A is definitely the direction that we need to go. We've heard that from the Medical Association, from the Pharmacy Association, from many groups, realtors, sheriffs, law enforcement. So if you're out there today and you are for medical marijuana, vote 65A.
I don't think, and you said it, Steve, that the only reason that you're going to put that kind of money out is an investment. You want it back, and you're not going to get it back on strict medical marijuana.
And by the way, I wish the state would give me $2.5 million, so I can start another business.
Did we ever find out what the interest is on that one? I don't know if there is any interest on it.
I don't know. The whole. You have to read the 50 or 60 pages, and we know when they went around and got signatures, like they did JT, who worked for us, who's suffering for cancer, who's about to have stem cell MD Anderson. They walk in the studio and say, JT, wouldn't you like to have medical marijuana? Yeah, my dad had cancer. Yeah. And so he signs it. Now, they didn't give him the 50 pages for him to read.
Nobody.
They didn't get, it's hard to find what is in the bill, and you will not see it on the ballot today. And I think the state made a horrible mistake in the way this thing's listed on the ballot. But there's nothing you can do about that. So,
well, and it's also confusing, as most people have noted. It is confusing, but we tell you, vote 65A, vote no on the first one, where it says, do you want marijuana? Vote no on both.
I'm going to tell you this. We are going to I told Kim this morning that if this fails, we're going to spend every day beginning Wednesday after this election calling out legislators who will not support a medical marijuana bill. Now, if 65A passes, they are forced by the Constitution to do a bill in the next session. So when people say they won't do it, they don't have any fallback. They have to do it.
Yeah. We talked with, on the air, of course, Trey Lamar, the chairman of Ways and Means, and he's said the same thing, that they're going to start. Well, if it's 65A, even if no's win, which is highly unlikely because the polling shows anywhere well over 50%, maybe 70 to 80% of the people are going to vote for medical marijuana. But even if it failed, then the legislature is going to see if they can get a bill out. I hope the state
gets those signs ready for California East, because that's what you're going to have. The marijuana, the laws in Mississippi will be less constraint than they are in California.
Kimmy, you heard yesterday, and God bless her, Jamie Grantham was on, and she was talking about the doctors and lawyers have all had input in this.
What doctors and lawyers?
And
5?
I don't know if it was 5.
I don't know.
Because we've had it on the air. We've had just about every law enforcement. We've had head of the medical association. We had Dr.
She
Horn
admitted yesterday that you could not buy a gun if it's passed.
It sounded like this.
You know how there's a federal form you have to fill out?
Right.
At the federal level, that federal form is in play, and it specifically will ask you questions about any illegal drug use, and they actually specifically include medical marijuana in that. It's very clearly written out. So you would have to answer yes to that. And that would keep you, again, at the federal level from purchasing a new gun.
Now, wait a minute. From the federal level, is gun rights, is that not a federal law? Is there a state law that says we can buy guns? I thought it was
don't know
federal.
if you can say I want the gun, but I don't want the federal part of it.
No,
I don't think it works out.
That's the craziest thing I ever said. So it took them up to the day before to admit that, yes, it's going to affect your ability to own a gun in Mississippi.
One of the more interesting interviews we had was with the Gordon Fellows with the Banking Association. And the consequences of you getting a medical marijuana card or having a pot shot show up in your strip mall is, I didn't realize how bad it was. But, he just gave a couple of scenarios that if you have a strip mall out there and all of a sudden somebody comes in 2 or 3 years later, puts a pot shop in the middle of it, then the person who owns that strip mall, they have to pull the loan.
Well, Paul, the main thing is show me the money. And this is a business investment. This is not medical marijuana. This is basically legalizing marijuana in the state of Mississippi.
Here's it. Joel Baumgart, 20,000. Joel Baumgart, 55,000, 60,000,
And do you know how many times we've asked?
75?
You know how many times we've asked Joel Baumgartner to be on the air?
A Paso.
About 30. And you know what we get when we call him?
Yeah.
Crickets.
Well, are there phone lines at his new island he has?
Oh, I heard he moved to Honduras. He's going to
He's
operate
got an island there, and I'm not sure the his phones have been installed yet. So, anything else you guys want to contribute? Is that it?
Thank you, Paul.
Well, we just want people
Appreciate
to
it.
Two of the best guests we've ever had, Perez. Two of the best guests we've ever had.
You've already got paid this month. You got to, but we encourage people to vote no and vote for 65A.
More.